Very well done. It is always a pleasure to be entertained by the indigenous people of Dominica. And while they were performing and I looked across the room, for 1 minute I thought that our former minister, Rosalind Paul, was going to join them. But that didn't happen. So. But I saw a lot of attention from the members of the Kalinago territory, members of staff of the Aid Bank, and some of us at the head table. So again, we want to seriously express our appreciation to the Carina Cultural Group for their cultural performance. And we now invite Honorable Kozia Frederick to deliver the feature address.
Thank you very much, Madam of Ceremonies, Tit. Good afternoon, everybody. Mabrika. I'm really happy to be here this afternoon, and before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the wonderful folks at the head table, our Ubutu, Annette Sanford, Thomas, our manager, acting manager, well, not acting manager, temporary manager, Miss Matilda John Rose, Mrs. Nicole Faustin, the head of credit, our MC, Mrs. Tit, the parish priest, former ministers Ashton and Kelly Grano, former members of the council, Prosper Paris, Nichiabu, KDO, former KDO, Donaldson Frederick, present KDO, Alice Dirampel, all the wonderful staff of the Aid Bank. And I'm saying those names not because I want to say those names. These names are very important. I'm calling them out because they're very, very important. I'm former minister and present consultant with the government, Rosalind Paul, the folks who are here out of the HDCs who represent various Hamlet committees, and also the small business owners in that space. I am here this afternoon to not only as the member of parliament, but more importantly as a Kalinago person myself, stayed in that place for almost 50 years, but also importantly as the member of parliament that represents the Saliba constituency. And that constituency begins in Wakama and goes all the way to Pegwa. We'll argue about it, some will argue, but I have claimed this, Wakama and Pegwa, and it's very important because a movement like this started some time ago with the leadership of Kelly Grano, and we had additional lands of the territory added to the territory as we move along. I'm happy to be here also because what I think most of us don't know or don't appreciate is the fact that the government of Dominica, which I'm part of, which I represent, is the biggest shareholder in the Aid Bank. So it means that having the Aid Bank in our space, it means that there's a commitment by the government to continue to do good work that started many years ago. And sometimes we do it because it vexes me sometimes when people speak from the community, when we speak about the UNDP and UNICEF and the World Bank, all the agencies come into this space because the government takes a policy. And these are all partners. So as a big shareholder in the Aid Bank, the government is continuing the work that we do in the Kalinago territory. Now I dare say the road to our development has been very, very troubled for many years because we operate within a system, a capitalist governance system of commerce that speaks to a lot of collateral, and collateral mainly in the form of land. And by default, by that very essence of we don't own land, we are struck off the conversation. And how dare you tell me that a space like this, with running water and power and access to road networks, the beautiful view of the Atlantic Ocean, it worth nothing? So I am very worried about this. And so at the Aid Bank, we have to help, Madam Manager, to reconstruct that narrative. Because if you go to the Kalinago Barano along the road, that shares Sally Bay and Crevice River. You have a multi-million-dollar property on the waterfront with a river going straight through it, with magnificent structures on it. And yet we say the land has no value. And so we have to shift the conversation. So I'm happy that we're doing this, because just doing the research on the Aid Bank, for example, I realized that Aid Bank has helped in a number of areas for a number of years. And we talk about housing, infrastructure, agricultural loans, student loans, and the Obutu alluded to a student loan. And all of those things that have been happening for years. But what I also realize is that the Carnago territory have always been part of it. Has always been part of it. So it means that this meeting here is so important, because we in the Carnago territory also have to do more for ourselves. And we have to assert ourselves. And that's why when we had the conversation with the manager, Alice and myself, we think it'd be really, really good to have the Aid Bank in that space. So there's no excuse that we have to pay boss, we go down there, the appointment don't work. I brought one paper today, I had to come back up for another paper, and go back down for another paper. And there's this story to my manager to help us with, because I hear too many reports on the Aid Bank. That the Aid Bank itself is not diligent enough. That people have to have more gum, because the Aid Bank is a development bank. And it has to help to shape the lives of people and make their lives better. So if I go over there as a little Carnago guy who's a Frederick from Sarabia, and I have an appointment with a loans officer, if I'm away, and when I come with my ID and a salary slip, I have to come back next week with something else. My goodness, this is not good enough. And so while you're here, I take the opportunity to admonish every one of us, because we have a responsibility to provide the services to people. That's why you're here, rightly so. But also, our right to access to finance, our right to have all of those is always on us. What I find interesting in communities like ours, in the bigger narrative, indigenous communities, we always have a right. We always want a right. Yes, it is important. We have to have the right to freedom, to education, to medical care. You want that right, but you also have to have a responsibility. That when you get the finances, you use it for the right things. There are too many times I on the streets of Carnago territory, the streets of Rose, so that somebody got a loan from a bank and they take it to go St. Martin and shop. What is that? It happens across the board. And even I am very passionate about the KDF. I studied this thing for a long time. I remember in 2000 when Kelly Gano came in as the minister, a massive study was done, and we said that one of the things that could help us in the Carnago territory is access to finance. And access to finance at a very low rate. So the Carnago Development Corporation was envisioned, came into being. And it's been over 25 years that we've been pushing. And because we realize that we have to do things for ourselves, but the government and agencies like the Aid Bank have to make it easier for us. And so that's why you're here. And I say that because it's important, as the major stakeholder, major shareholder of the government, we realize that sometimes the commercial entities, like the credit unions, which are involved into something different, they shift away from cooperativeness to more commercialness. And the commercial banks, they have not been helping us, because they have been very strict, and they have been saying to us, we need to do certain things. But also I realize, friends, comrades, that sometimes we go to the bank, and it is a bank. That means if you go into a bank, you have to have the relevant documentation. That means you have to be able to provide documentation. And you have to be able to be diligent. And you have to subject yourself to the scrutiny that will make the project transparent. And sometimes we don't like that. We think we can just batch a boss, go to the Aid Bank, I hate our money there for Carinago, I want some. It's not, that's not how it works. And even when we hear people talk about World Bank House and stuff like that, and I get vexed. Because a bank giving you a house. Someone who sits down in Washington knows your situation in Carnago territory. The person don't know you. It is some people around who's doing the work to assess your situation. And a loan, a bank, listen to it yourself, a bank. How a bank can give you a house? Correct. So it is those things we have to dispel, and it's those things I would like the Aid Bank to help us to understand, because I find there's this a lot of misinformation that goes around our country. We take it for granted that because we're in the Carnago territory, we have survived a lot, our DSC. We say we survive a lot. And no matter what people throw at us, we'll continue to survive. But we also have a massive responsibility. I mean, these wonderful people take their time. Carnago territory, like a distance, you know. The other custom coming here, so they're going to go down tonight. Some of them leave their husbands, their wives, their children, to be here for us. So when they're out here on a Tuesday and a Thursday, we're hoping that you will come. And you will come prepared. And you will come with the understanding that what you may see as a small project can be a very big project. Because sometimes, too, I always have conversation with my good friend Nietzsche. And that idea of small business, man. We have a concept called big business. Why can't the Carnago territory be a place that bounces of big businesses? Go l'argent, big stuff. Why does it have to be something small, a little craft shop here, a little boutique over here? Why can't we have a massive hotel? Why can't we have shopping malls? Why can't we have casinos? What's wrong with that? So sometimes we have to think big. And I think this is the limitation that we sometimes have because we think just like the others. So I dare say in the last 20 years, I have seen massive development in the Carnago territory. I mean, you drove up in a wonderful road. So that means people want to come. So nowhere is fine these days, especially in the Carnago territory. And when we speak about the KDF and how we should have businesses in our space, that is important. But we also have to have some business outside as well. So we have to look at that. We have to tweak that KDF structure because we have to have a presence in Portsmouth. We have to have a presence in Roseau. We can't have other people having a presence for us. Why do we allow people to come in our space to buy a piece of basket, a calabash for $5 and go out there and sell it for $50? Because the cruise ship, that's what the cruise ship is, and that's what the business is. And yes, there's roads to our place, but on that particular day, the people are not coming to that space. So Madam Manager, we're going to tweak that thing because I'm part of the shareholding thing, so I have to do that. Because we have to when we drive across the Carnago territory, we have to be able to find a space where we can eat and have a good meal. We have to be able to go and refuel our vehicles, but the road nice. We have to have a space where we can spend a few nights and enjoy the Carnago space and enjoy the dance and stuff and free up. We should have a space tonight where everyone in this bank as a staff should not be going down tonight. Should be sleeping in the Carnago territory and spending your money. Yeah, you spend your money. Because I get very sad when people speak about us as if we are an exhibition piece. We are a place to come and see. And let's go and check what they're doing. Let's go and see what they're doing. And the only time when people come to our space is when their children have a project. Oh, we have an exhibition, and they ask you questions. Carnago is the essence of Dominica. Every single individual in Dominica should know everything about Carnago. And you can't come to me during the time for CXC and I doing a project and send me pictures. Oh, what is the name for that? We have to stop that because, in essence, the Carnago people is what make this country what it is. And of course, the people who came, we give a like a 5 here already there. You're there. I benefit from it too because part of me is people who came. So I'm sort of a hybrid, in a sense. But I think we have to continue to cherish what makes Dominica unique. We cannot just be a face on a brochure. We cannot just be a picture on a wall. We have to be part of the movement. And that's why I'm so happy that the Aid Bank is here because we have to put money in this space. We have to invest money in this space. And I dare say the government may well have to lose some money in the process. And I think that's fine. Because in learning to make our place better, there'll be some risk that we have to take. And we have to do it. Because the legacy of the Carlago people is what will continue to grow Dominica. When we speak about Dominica being the first climate resilient country, because in the aid bank structure, you can take loans to rebuild your homes. And you can take homes to build water systems, to buy energy saving lights. But in all of this, the Carlago people were doing that already. I mean, the definition of resilience is Kalinago. When Hurricane Maria hit us and our country was totally destroyed, it brought it back. The French thief it, they volley it, and they put it in the Creole. But it's our thing. We came together to go and build a boat because the gourmet was too big to cut by one man. We had no power source, so we had to use a whipsaw. So we had plenty of people to cut boards for our house. So we had to come together. We had to clear lands to plant our crops. So we couldn't do it alone. But I find that in the 21st century, Dominica, and especially Carlago territory, we want to operate in a capitalist structure that doesn't suit our present condition. And we have to find a way to get around this. And that's why the aid bank is so important in that, because all that talk I talk in there. If all I got money in the pocket, I can't do anything. And so the money is available. We'll push the government to make much more of the money available. I'm hoping that sometime soon we can maybe see 1%. What about 0%? What about us giving the money back? Because the aid bank is not to make profit, you know. The aid bank is to help people. So what is wrong with that? So it means that if you do it well, and you can prove to the bank that you can do the projects, don't take the money and go online and buy phone for people, some of us in that room there, and use the money properly. Do the proper invoicing and do the proper records. That we may well have a situation where we just have to put the money back in because it's important, because others need to also dip into it. And so, friends, I'm so happy here. We have fellas like Ali over here who want to do business. We have the Castava girls here. We have fellas like Tosi at the back who is into agriculture, want to do processing, who want to do manures and all sorts of stuff. So we have people here. And what is interesting, I hope you look at that as well. And Porras, they're doing the aquaculture, very important. But we also have people in the bank. We have Kainagos in the bank. So there was a point in our history where we had nobody in no good place. And we have a point in 2025 where people in good places. So if they have given any trouble, yeah, I can work with that, deal with that. But friends, I think we understand why we're here. And I will tell you, development is not easy. And I'll close with one example. The first slaves who came on a boat and went to a plantation didn't know that one day they were able to run from the plantations. Those who ran from the plantations and became the Negmawa in the hills didn't know that one day their country would be independent. Those who were independent didn't know that one day that their leaders would be all from their community. And we talk about 400 years. So when people tell me, oh, I see nothing happen in Carlago territory, you must be 0 years old. Because development takes a long period. Can you remember this road? Can you remember the road down to Salibia? I remember when I went to school that'll tell my age, 1987, we had no lights, no power. I had a candle. And now we have power, now we have internet. We have students who have gone to Cuba, have gone to Venezuela, gone to China. And I dare say too, those people have to have their part to play, you know. After you get the benefit of going out and getting all that thing, and you're hot, because you have degrees, you're hot. So many degrees, you're like a thermometer. You have to come back and do something. You can't sit behind your tablet, your iPad, talking and saying things and be a coward. Carlagos were never cowards. If we had something to say, we meet a man in the public, We roll up our sleeves and we keep a day. And we settle that. We didn't hide behind anybody. We didn't jet a power. We didn't have any aspersions. We were straightforward. And I find the kind of go of today getting weak and hiding behind a computer, pseudonyms, Facebook names. But we know them, you know. There's the science of finding out who they are. And I'm very saddened when they hide, because we are people that have grown so much. And we have a legacy to leave for our children. I have a little boy, he's 7. I have a grandson that is 3. I'm a grandfather, big man thing. And I need to make the Carnago territory a little place better for them. So when I leave and they say, Defe Kozia, he did something. And when they say Defe, every one of us, it will be something positive. And we have to stop being victims and take charge. But in taking charge, we need the help of everyone. We need the help of the government, primarily. We need the help of the institutions like the Aid Bank, who have the expertise, who have the technical people, they're smart, they know how to make the thing work. And we have to give them the chance now to help us to make it work. Because you can have an idea as a business person, but you might not be the best person to manage that idea. And so I say that because there are examples of resources wasted in our Carnago territory because people could not manage the resources that they had, even if it was a very good idea. So I would close by saying thank you for the opportunity to share. I think we can do a lot in this small time that we have remaining. We're going into a new budget time as well. I'm hoping that the cabinet and the other members of parliament will approve a lot more money for our space. And remember I said it's the Wakama all the way to Pegua, because I also represent the people of Atkinson. And while they say the Jawaraka, when you do their check, most of them grandmothers are from the Carnago territory. So we have to also deal with that situation as well, because officers of the bank, there are people there who are also vulnerable. Some people who do not have land titles, they may be squatting on lands, so we have to assist them. They may not be able to register those lands if they do have it, so we have to do those little bits and pieces. And I think there are models in the country already. We regular lands in Yampis, in all Fokole, so we can maybe help to regularize lands down in Antris, Atkinson area, because they are really part. Because I'm sure there are people in the room here who didn't know that Atkinson wasn't part of the Carnago territory. There are some people still don't know that. They think it's one thing. And that's why some people wrongly say, I represent the constituency of the Carnago territory. I represent the Salabia constituency, because the Carnago territory is just a part of it. So I will stop, because I would like the opportunity for everyone in the crowd to ask a few questions, because I think it will honor the presence of those who are here. And so I would like us to give that opportunity to yourselves to ask the relevant questions. And when you have the more personal business, you can go in the booth and break it down, so that next year, around that time, we'll be able to see some individual businesses. We should be able to see a gas station and a big restaurant, and we should also see a big shopping mall in Roseau and one in Portsmouth and stuff like that, because it's important. We're not going anywhere, and the bank knows we're not going anywhere, so they will help us, because there's a lot we need to do to ensure that the heritage of Dominica is protected, the Carnago people grow as equal citizens, and that means that everyone will grow, because we are part of this wonderful Waiti Kubuli that my ancestor rightly called rugged. Because if Columbus had seen Dominica on a Monday, I don't know what it would be like. So I want to thank the staff who are here, and also the people on the head table for coming to our space and give us the opportunity to access and understand how the bank works and how we can get the much needed finance. I also want to thank the former members of parliament who spoke about all of this. And sometimes we forget those gentlemen and the past Carnago chiefs as well, and councillors and cultural advocates like Prosper Paris and Mabrika. Because I feel that if they were not before me, I would have nothing really good to stand on, and I really must celebrate them. Thank you very much.
Honorable Kozia Frederick, thank you very much for your kind words, your appreciation for the Aid Bank, for recognizing the importance of the Aid Bank. My takeaway was that this speech was very empowering. He spoke of diversity, growth and development, opportunity, vision, resilience, commitment, leaving a legacy for generations to come, and responsibility on both parts. So you indicated that we could probably take a few questions with the permission of the General Manager acting. We can probably take one or two questions, and remember that we have a booth outside with credit officers who will share more details of any loans that you're interested in. So is there anybody who wants to ask a question or two? We have Ms. John Rose at the head table, Mrs. Faustin.
Check.
I think it's okay.
1, 2. Thank you very much. My name is Anthony Lucian from Crayfish River, Kalinago Territory. Let me recognize everyone present here today. And thank you very much for coming up. I think when the minister spoke and the manager spoke, nothing is new. Because what you bring into light today was already here. I remember in the early days, I'm a child of the 70s, moving in the 80s. And when the banana industry was swinging, the Kalinago farmers, one could send for another. So when the minister spoke of mismanagement, I tend to think, where did we went wrong? Now, the Aid Bank will tell us that they're going to give us a loan, and the minister spoke of 0% interest, 1%, 2%, whatever the case may be, a loan is a loan. If you don't service it, the loan has an application. I say here today that the Aid Bank come up here today. I see a lot of tent is being pitched. I see a lot of advertisement. Within all that, did the farmer get anything? Have me excused. I am speaking in general. I see a lot of advertisement taking place. The Aid Bank did some advertisement, but did the Aid Bank give the farmer a token of appreciation? No, I say that to say, me as a farmer, I speak on behalf of the farmer. And it would be hypocrite of me to stay here today and did not lend a voice on behalf of the farmer. Because the farmer is a struggling man. And when you give him a loan and he cannot service it, the Kalinago territory does not have a land certification where you can seize his land. Praise God for that. Or else we would not have a Kalinago today. You cannot take our land. So praise God for that. No, had it not been for that, the bank would be seizing the Kalinago people every given day. So when I see the introduction of loan, I did not see you coming to help us. I see you doing a structure to help yourself and to empower yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comment. Mr. Hill here.
Thank you, Madam. Greetings, America. I just want to say the remarks of my brother really warmed my heart, and I'm so proud of him. I just want to make 2 points. It's not a question. 2 points just for the consideration of the bank, and I see the directors are here. So the first one is, I believe that the public policy of the country as it relates to education and assistance for education should be targeted to the needs of the country. So when you're giving scholarships, when the government is giving loans and those facilities, I think the bank and the country should take into consideration what is the need of the country. how does the educational opportunity you're providing help to develop the country? What are the skills that we need? What are the professions that will contribute to our economic development and well-being? And not only that, what are the skills of the future? Because the future is moving rapidly with technology. And the things and the educational processes of 5 to 10 to 15 years are going to be totally different from what we're experiencing today. So how are we preparing people who are studying now to participate in an economy in a world that is moving and developing really rapidly? So I think the Aid Bank board and management should consider that really seriously when you're giving assistance. The second thing is the loans policy. There is a very successful development model in the world for banking that is developed in Indonesia, the Grameen Bank. And it emphasizes the type of loans and assistance to poor people, to people who are underserved, to people who all need to get a small loan. But the way that you manage it is completely different, and it is really, really successful. And the Aid Bank should take a look at the Grameen Bank policy of how they treat their loan customers. They have a very different way of treating customers, and how you give a loan, how you manage the loan, how you look to people to make them pay back the loan. There's a total and always continuous engagement. And the fact that you're coming up here to the territory to start that application process is a good thing. But what is even more important is how you manage and service the loan after you have given it. How do you assist the people to do their accounting, to ensure they have a market to sell their goods, to manage their credit and whatever else, to manage their payments? That is the most critical part. So yes, for coming up here for that, but please consider the further step of assisting people with the actual management and repayment of the loans that you issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hill. Ms. John Rose, would you like to address these two concerns?
Thank you. 1 minute after, let me just deal with the two questions. Thank you for your questions so far. Yes, Aid Bank does have an agriculture component in the KDF. So there is an agriculture component in the KDF at 2%, so do not be alarmed. And also, Aid Bank has a special, how you call it, TDB MSME facility where we cater to all productive sectors, including agriculture. So agriculture has not been left. We are considering agriculture. We do have facilities for agriculture. So currently, we have the KDF facility for agriculture at 2%, and we also have an MSME facility for agriculture at 3.5%. So they are the two facilities specifically catered to agriculture, but it also includes other productive sector enterprises. Mr. Hill, you spoke about two important points. You spoke about the public policy and what we do have as it relates to priority in terms of education. There's a government priority list. So our student loan